Hi.
Hello.
That's a short countdown. The other
That
ones
sure
are
was.
That
That
was a
was
very short
fast.
countdown.
All right. Hi. This is the what do we call it? We're the Virtual Cantina Jedi Archives, the Skeleton Crew After Show. That's what we're doing. We're doing Skeleton Crew After Show. If
Yes.
you don't know who you are, introductions are order. My name's Jonathan.
I'm Mike.
I'm Bryce. And that's Mike. I'm Bryce.
And I'm John.
And I'm Mike.
All right, we got it. Yes, we are
It's like
Jedi
it's like the Three Stooges here.
Let's just get right into this. Everyone just don't want to care about us, but they care about the after show. They care about Skeleton Crew. They want to discuss about hit theories. Let's just get right into it. Initial thoughts, or do you want to go down the line?
So we've got two. We're going over to two episodes, and let's start with the first episode first. It's called "This Could Be a Real Adventure," and it starts out with the opening text explaining that after the fall of the Great Empire, we've got the New Republic keeping order, and piracy is a big problem on the remote hyperspace routes, and it's rising. And it reminded me a lot of the High Republic, actually, with the Nile and piracy. So it's kind of like a repeat of the High Republic all over again, like a cycle. What did you guys think?
Oh yeah,
I felt like this was. Oh, go ahead, Jonathan.
I said I didn't draw that conclusion, but it's not far off at all. It is very piratey, but I mean, I guess that's what the Nile were, anyways. Yeah, it's very traditional how you would think any pirate ship would attack another pirate ship, whether it's in the water or it's in space. They pretty much attach. They want to kill, but keep enough alive to find out what they need. So yeah, very Star Wars at the beginning. There's a lot of Star Wars.
Oh yeah, yeah. So for me, I didn't think High Republic. I really went to Mandalorian season 3, where we actually deal with these pirates. You know, maybe a different set of them, but we do deal with them. So like, I just took the direct correlation that we're in the Mandoverse or Filoniverse or whatever you want to call it. We're in that time period. So like, a lot of this stuff here makes a lot of sense. As far as the piracy and everything goes, like I was like, oh cool, we're gonna get more of what we got in Mandalorian season 3.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so it starts out with the damaged freighter, right? It's being attacked by pirates, led by Captain Silvo, who's betrayed by his own crew, right? And Captain Silvo sounds a lot like what's his name? Jude Law. So I'm pretty sure
that does.
So I'm pretty sure that's Jude Law, and Brutus takes over as captain, and then it just swipes to the planet, right, at Atten. And we meet a boy named Wim who lives on this planet, and his mother's dead, which is kind of typical in Star Wars. And his father's really absent all the time, and he spends all his time with his faux lightsaber, you know, imagining he's a Jedi, playing with his friend Neil, who's really cool. He's got his little elephant
Neil
trunk.
Nation.
Yeah. Neil, who's a familiar Captain EO blue alien species, right?
Hooter.
Mm-hmm. And they play with their classmates, preparing for a career assessment, right? That's going to determine their whole future in the New Republic. But Wim does dream of being a Jedi, which is funny because, you know, that's his dream. And after school, Wim returns by an empty house. He returns to an empty house while his friend Fern, whose mother is Undersecretary Farah, deals with a hoverbike issue. And Wim's father dismisses his interest in Jedi stories, and Wim struggles with loneliness. So we're getting the story of all these kids have all different home styles. You know, their parentings are all different, and they're very. It's like everyone's very unique. So they're all very diverse, but they're all part of the same coexisting. It's almost like the Breakfast Club, because they're all different.
I mean, to me, it's very, very intentional. Every kid's adventure movie ever. Stranger Things.
Yeah,
any of the 80s.
It kind of
movies.
reminds me a little bit of E.T.
Mhm.
You know, that the suburb of like a major city. It also, obviously, because it's in Star Wars, also gave me Guardians of the Galaxy 3 vibes when they land in that that's basically the suburb, and there's all these like normal people walking around, which is all these different alien types, and so it kind of that reminded me of that, which I thought was really cool. And now you kind of understand like a little bit more after the first 2 episodes. I won't go into it, but this planet is different than anything else. I almost got, and I'll say this, is that I got a little bit of Moana vibes from this. Yeah. So the reason I say I felt like Moana vibes, right? Because this is a special place. The island that Moana's family and everything was a special place, but there was a barrier, and you don't go past the barrier. And so that was kind of like, like it gave me that, like, you don't cross that line
Mhm.
because it's going to be really hard to come back.
Yeah, I didn't think of that.
So
Like, think of that. It's like it's in multiple movies, like The Lion King. Don't go in the Shadowland. Or,
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. The Elephant Graveyard.
That's true. And I just saw Moana too, and they do go beyond to find like the origin place. So it's very similar to them.
2's a little different, but it was 1 when the island will provide, right? Like that was their thing. The
Mhm.
island will provide, but the island started dying. So Moana's like, I've got to go past this barrier. And the
Mhm.
barrier was very visible. That's why
Mhm.
when you see, I know we're getting a little ahead, but when the ship takes off, they make that reference. It's like, oh, we're going to get out past the barrier. It wasn't that we're going into outer space, right? It's not that we're going to go here or there. We're going to go past the barrier, which
The
Right.
Village, another one. That they had this like area.
Yep.
That couldn't cross,
Yep.
so
Mhm.
very, very much like that.
Well, you talk about that's a cool M. Night Shyamalan movie.
It's just, but that's what it is. Like it's the fear of what's out there. It's
Yeah,
not like
exactly.
You don't know what's out there. So
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
actually,
think it's gonna
that
play a
reminded me. That
big-
reminded me of a book that I would read with my 5th graders. It was the thing about, gosh, it's like we would read that book and we would watch Logan's Run, because it was the book of I can't remember the title now.
Your 5th
The
grade, Logan's
yeah.
Run.
The book though was about the book was about these kids, and they would give them like suppressive pills where they would suppress their hormones. Um, what was it? The Giver. The book was called The Giver, and there was this all like
Never read that.
but they were prevented. They couldn't leave. They were supposed to stay there, but The Giver was like, he was really good, and they could only see in black and white. But then The Giver would give them. He would choose one to give them the gift, and this one child was chosen, and the child would be given the gift of seeing color. And but this one child like escaped and was able to get out and was not supposed to leave, but they were being trapped. So it's very similar to that. I don't know where it's going with this series, but it gave me that kind of vibe of like, why are they being protected in this like utopian society? Kind of like Logan's Run, where they were all like protected and kept in this great place, but it wasn't so great. It was like there was something not so
I
bright.
think I think we're all kind of onto it. There's more to this.
Right.
Yeah, there's nobody knows this planet.
Right.
They have
Right.
lots of money. They don't know. They might not even know. And I think we're going to find out more of that when the dad starts having more interaction with these security droids.
Right, because even on that ad, and when you look at it, everything looks too perfect, right? All the little
well, and that's it. And I almost feel like they're not under New Republic like jurisdiction.
Well,
It
but they have
almost
New
feels
Republic
like
credit.
it's
But they do have
yeah,
New
they
Republic credit.
yes, they do. It's weird because I almost feel like it's like a Wakanda, right?
Mhm.
It's there, but you really can't see that it's there
Right,
and know exactly what it is. Like,
Right.
so what is at Atton's vibranium? what makes that planet so special, because we hear about it that people think it's a fairy tale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
I think we'll find that out, and I think the Roids or whoever's in charge does not want to find these kids because they don't want any possible way of finding ways back in.
Mhm.
Right.
Which will lead me to another point when we get to that point. Something else I want to talk about. But
Right.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's going to be, and I think that's something to do with the pirates that landed there originally. I think that ship's been there a long time.
Mhm.
Oh, yes, it's been
Yeah.
there for a while.
So the next day, Wim misses the school tram, and so he's trying to catch up, and it's the day of the test, so he's gonna miss it, and he tries to catch up on a hover bike, and he's gonna try. He takes a shortcut, but he gets messed up. He falls into a little ravine, and then that's when he finds this. It kind of looks like the entrance to one of the.
Right, it's like a door.
It looks like a door to one of the Hobbits' homes, right? So that's what it
Right,
reminded
yeah.
me of.
He thinks it's a Jedi temple.
Right, because he's all into Jedi. So
well, he likes to read. That's the
does.
thing. Like this is somebody that you see and likes and reads. So that's a pretty cool thing there too.
Yeah, he's always reading fairy tales. It's always these Jedi stories. So that's pretty cool.
Yes.
So then his father comes to school, and Wim's in big trouble. But then there's also Fern is in trouble too, because she's sitting outside the principal's office, and she overhears Wim talking to his dad about having found this Jedi temple. So then he goes to Neil's house to try to convince him. But when he goes to Neil's house, he can't find Neil, but he sees Neil's younger siblings, and they're watching the Circus Hollow from Star Wars Holiday Special, which is not appropriate for children because that's what,
Well, I think
Grandpa
they're
was
just watching the acrobats. I don't think they're watching the whole show.
Well, we know what comes after the acrobats, though, so they're watching the Hollow. But he convinces Neil to go with him to go find this Jedi temple, right? And
right, because
sneak
Neil
in.
goes, "Are we going to get in trouble?" And
And
he
he's
goes,
like, "No, I promise you we're not."
So he's like, "Okay." So we know Neil's a goody.
Yeah, he is. He follows the rules. Well, Neil
But he
has,
also
the
has an
perfect
imagination
family.
too.
He does, but he has that like a really nice family,
Yep.
So then Neil and Fern and their friend KB are there, and they decide to investigate the site because, of course, Fern had
But can we
overheard.
talk about how cool KB is to begin with? That awesome
she's awesome
character, kind of like the Geordi from Star Trek, with there. But unlike Geordi, she can see with or without it.
Well, she's got the cybernetic implant, right? So I read
but she doesn't need the visor to actually see. She's not blind. Like Geordi was blind. Obviously, later on in the Next Generation, he was able to have sight, not need the thing. But
I thought she was more like Lando's friend,
Lobot.
Lobot, yes.
Yeah. I think those were the cybernetic things that, if you remember in Rebels, when what was his name? The friend of Ezra's parents.
Right, the alien,
Rodian.
right? Yeah, the
Rodian. He had that same implant that what Lobot had.
Right.
It downloads a ton of data
in
there. So
yeah. Well, anyway, they're able to investigate the site, and she's able to like power it with her cybernetics, and they open the door, and they go in, and they realize it's not a temple, but it's a ship, and they accidentally they start it, and
they turn turn everything on.
Right, they turn everything on, and then they awaken a pirate droid, whose name is SM-33 or Smee, which is Captain Hook's loyal bosun from Peter Pan, which is pretty cool. And then that activates the ship, the Onyx Cinder, which takes off into hyperspace, which sets the stage for their adventure. And that's the end of the first episode.
You get a lot of character development from Wim right there. And he's just like, there's a button that's flashing.
Yeah.
They tell him, "Don't touch the
They
button."
tell him, don't push it. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna push
No,
it.
yeah, Wim. I like how it's definitely like Wim wants to be the alpha. You know, he's obviously very curious. He's excited to be there. He doesn't care if whatever they're in takes off, or he just like, this is a great adventure. Fern, I would say right now, is the alpha of the four of them. You know, like
Absolutely.
she kind of,
She's definitely
I
the
mean, she-
shrewdest and the smartest.
Mhm.
yeah, and I think that's because she's got, her mom's like the head of something,
Under, what were they called?
The
Under
unders-
principal?
yeah, something like that, undersecretary or something, like high up
Mhm.
on
She's the undersecretary of the school.
the
Yeah.
like the planet leadership, I guess is the, I don't know. So she's that rebel that likes to maybe skip school and not necessarily pay attention. Like her jacket's completely reversible.
Well, she's also the highest ranking student at the school. Remember, she won that medal. Her mom told her, "You left this."
Oh yeah, yes.
So she's the
Yeah.
smartest student at the school. We know that.
Yeah, like a valedictorian. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But the
you
other
guys-
thing too about Wim, Wim is the only one that really doesn't. I know Fern doesn't care about being home either, but I think Wim has nothing to go home to. His father's
Right.
mostly absent. He doesn't have a mom, so he's really happy to be out doing something. He feels like
Mhm.
this is something for him to do. It's exciting for him. He's not looking forward to going home because at home he feels lonely and empty. Right? It's an empty
Yeah,
house.
and we don't know about KB's family because we never see
No,
anything
we
with
don't
her
know
family.
anything
We
about
just,
her family.
right. We don't. It's sure, but we do know some of the dynamics with Fern, and because what we don't see in Fern's family is we don't see a dad,
No, but with
and
KB,
probably a
we
mom
see
that works a
nothing.
lot.
Right.
KB, we don't know any family dynamic. We know Neil is from a very strong family. And
A
then
big
you're right.
family, yes, a big family.
Wim's dad has to work all the time.
Mhm.
So, he reads a lot of these fantasies through, his tablet, and he's, constantly imagining things and wanting to be off an adventure because, right, like he doesn't have anything else.
Mhm. He's so lonely. And then
one
that
thing
takes us.
we're gonna see, two options. The parents are all gonna freak out, and I don't think whoever in charge is really gonna put much effort, act like they're putting effort, but not a lot. Or they're gonna try and silence the dad and not let the other parents even know. So I don't think there's gonna be a huge rescue mission on it, but I think we are gonna see the other parents soon.
I think we know from the trailer that it's going to be Fern's mom and Wim's dad. They're the ones that go after the kids.
Yeah.
So we saw that in the trailer. So
I think you see his dad with the kids in the trailer, like on speeder bikes or something.
and the mom too.
Oh, okay.
Fern's mom too. Yeah, it's the two of them. Mhm. So that's the end of the first episode, which leads directly into the second episode, way out past the barrier. So it's in this second episode, the Onyx Cinder drops out of hyperspace. So this is the first time that they've gone beyond.
And not in a good way.
No, not in a good way.
No, it's not like they shut it out. It fell out of hyperspace, which
Yeah, and it
I
reminded
loved
me
how
of,
they captured it.
yes, because it reminded me of like in again in the High Republic, how when a ship got pulled out of hyperspace, when I read about it in the High Republic in phase 1,
Great disaster.
in the Great Disaster, how ships got pulled out of hyperspace. That's
this reminded me more of
Star Trek.
Rebels when Kanan and Ezra went to that old Clone Wars base where they faced the Grand Inquisitor. Remember, they jumped out of hyperspace in the Phantom, and how it spun out, and it had all those different colors. That's exactly what
It
this
did
was.
have that
It,
too.
like
Yes,
it just
you're
kind of
right.
spun out of hyperspace, kind of thing.
Mhm.
So I got the Rebels vibe from that, and I was like, and the colors, I was like, man, this is exactly what happened in Rebels when Kanan and Ezra went to that
I've,
that
I've
old
seen
base.
it times when they fall out of warp speed. When you see them, like they break down warp speed, they spin out of control almost. That's exactly what I saw. So it's
Yeah,
dead on.
I
But
was trying not to hawk too much of the Trek,
it
but
was definitely not
I
the
got some
right way of
serious
coming
Trek
out.
coming up too. Serious Trek. I mean, someone could really draw some serious parallels, but we'll get there.
Well, the kids realize that the pirate droid SM-33 is with them, and he's searching for the ship's captain, right? And after Fern convinces them that she killed the captain and that she's now in charge, he begins explaining the ship's operations because she says, "I can handle a droid," because she's like, she just has because droids just follow directions. So she goes, "I killed the captain. That makes me the captain. So you have
But
to follow
not
my
only did
orders."
she say she killed him, she said she took a dagger and stabbed him in the chest.
She's
Which,
really good at hyperbole. Yes.
but either she saw, the skeleton already, while they were exploring, while we didn't see her on the camera, on camera. She either saw that where the two skeletons were with a dagger sitting, right there in the chest, or it was, just coincidentally she just said something, and then the next scene we're seeing Wim go, I think they were in a duel.
Yeah. Because
So
Wim shows that to his friend Neil. Yeah.
before we go too much farther, I wanted to right before that helps, I guess, validate the secrecy of this planet because I've seen a lot of sci-fi shows, but almost all of them they can track the coordinates where the ship has been. Like ship's been here, 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 but I don't think they can do that here because the ship knows not to remember the coordinates of Aden. They don't say anything like that. Kind of almost they wish they did. Said, well, let's track the coordinates or see where we're at, and it would like erase because the people who owned that ship didn't want other people to find Aden. So that kind of bugged me at first. I was like, why don't they just go where they came from? I mean, almost every starship and every sci-fi movie would be able to track that.
Well, it was kind of like in Bad Batch, that Imperial facility. You could leave, but to get back, you had to go through all these different like clearances and be right in the know. Like only a few people would be allowed to give out those like coordinates. And you had to go through massive checks.
I just wish there was some kind of dialogue saying that, so we knew that happened in Bad Batch. So I just wish they would have said, "Oh, why can't we go back here?" And he said something like, "Oh, it erases after every trip."
We might get that though, because in this episode, they haven't even really actually made it out of the jail cell.
Yeah.
Well, they did say, "Take us back where we were," and he checked the coordinates. He said they couldn't find them.
Oh, he said that?
None. Yeah, he did. He did. And he did because they said, "Well, just check," and he said he couldn't. But you know what?
That's right. Yes, yeah, Smee. Yes, that's how I'm referring to him. Yeah, Smee did say that. You're right, Mike.
He says checking. I couldn't find them. And then the little boy's like, "Do you think the little rat in his brain erased them, or was something faulty?" But what I'm thinking too is that doesn't always work, because remember, for Exegol 2, the only way you can get to there is by having the Wayfinder. And the other thing that reminded me too is in the books, remember Planet X? The only way to get to Planet X is you also need a Wayfinder. So it's not you can't get there just by coordinates. So certain planets
I think there is going to be something. I want to find out how is what I'm saying. My curiosity is there.
Because Aten is a special planet, just like Planet X is a special planet that you can't get there by just having coordinates and jumping. Similar to the planet where the what are they called? The father. Remember the father, the daughter, and the son? You can't just get there by punching in coordinates. Because remember,
I think it's actually more similar to Camino, where it's just been erased, not like mystically in another dimension or something like that.
Well, yeah. So that was erased from the archives, but there was also the
But that one just was erased. It wasn't that.
Well, that's what I think.
Yeah,
that
it was
happened.
erased,
I think,
but there was still a gravity. Like you could tell that the gravity was still
yeah,
pulling
I
in
think that's
into
something
that area.
man-made. I think there's some kind of physical barrier they put to hide it. I don't think there's going to be.
That's why I
some,
said it was like Wakanda, because
fold in
Wakanda's
the
that same
forest,
way, right? Like Wakanda's in the middle of Africa, but you have to go through this barrier to get there, and only the right technology.
But
is going
Wakanda's
to do
more
that.
magically hidden because you can't see it even if you're near it.
Right.
And
But
so
that's what I think what Jonathan's saying is that there's a physical barrier hiding it.
So I think it's gonna be a lot like Wakanda. I mean, I bet there's a chance you can get there and you won't even see it.
Yeah.
So it's intentionally put there. Like I think where the father lived, I think even X is kind of more hidden through the force. Like you can't find it just because it's something with nature.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of so many possibilities with this show, but I don't think this show is going to be like, you're not going to go down a path and go, oh, that's what they did. Like they're going to go down a path and you're like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah. I think
Like,
the biggest possibility is we're going to have a Captain EO. It's going to happen.
that's what I think too. I think so too, because there's so many little
Like-
Captain EO Easter
In the
eggs.
background, some Captain EO look-alike. That's going to happen.
I'm hoping, is Hondo Naka.
I think there's a good chance. Yeah.
I mean,
I
that
think
would
so,
be
too.
cool. That would be cool. I know that they tell the story on Batu, but his story on Batu, because we're in we're in that resistance time frame. This is before that, so you could put Hondo there.
No, but
before he
Hondo
ends
was
up-
still alive during that time too, because Hondo.
That's what I'm saying. But this
Yeah.
would be pre Batu for Hondo.
Yes.
Because we're in that Mandalorian time frame. We're not in the Resistance timeline yet.
Yeah.
We're in
Right.
that New Republic, the First Orders. The First Orders.
Maybe we
is-
get Batu.
You never
Maybe-
have, maybe.
Maybe this is where Hondo finds Batu. I'd love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so Fern he becomes the captain, right? And then
Mhm.
and then Wim's like, but I want to be the captain. And so then Smee tells him, well, you can if you challenge her to a duel to
Right.
the death. He's like, oh, that's okay. So I'll take it
Yeah.
back. So then she tells, all right, well, tell me how to run the ship. It's like, all right. So he explains everything, right? Which is pretty cool.
Oh,
'cause
yeah.
He does explain everything. And I'm like, well, but then
It's so fast.
you go ahead and you fly the ship. He's like, sure, I'll do it. So then he's the only one that really knows how to do it. And then he's like, can you take us back to Atten? He's like, do you mean Adelon? And we know where Adelon is because that's
Right.
where, our friends from, geez, I'm blanking out on the cartoons that were on Adelon with the Bendu from Star Wars Rebels. And
Oh my!
he-
That took you a while.
He also mentions Aldani, which was from Andor,
Yeah.
and Al Alcor, but he says not at Aden. He doesn't know at Aden, so he can't find it.
Which
and
is
he's
weird because that's where he was.
He was there, right, but he doesn't know it. And
But I think that ship got off course and just happened to crash into that planet because it's so well overgrown. It's weird because it almost and not to go back to the Trek, but the ship was obviously in the Earth, much like that the USS Kelvin was in the not Kelvin. What the heck? What name was that? The ship in Star Wars, the Star Trek, was it Beyond? Was
Yeah.
the third in the Kelvin timeline, and there's that ship that was in the mountain, and then it comes up out of the mountain. Like that's exactly kind of what I got with the Onyx Cinder, which I really want
takes
to
out?
let go of. Yeah,
yeah. So then Smee's like, well, show me which one it is. And then they'd like, well, we don't know. We're lost.
right.
So then Smee's like, well, I can take you to a pirate starport, So he takes him to Borgo. And Fern's like, well, maybe someone there can help take us back. They'll give us directions.
Mm-hmm.
So Then we swipe back to Ad-Atten, where the safety droids are searching for the cause of the tremor when the ship took
Yep.
off. And Wendell's there because he was looking for his son and he saw them take off on the ship. And he tells the safety droids about the children's actions, that they were there. And he's emphasizing that they broke through the barrier. And the droids are like, well, that's a serious violation because nobody can break through the barrier.
Right. Yep.
And that also reminded me of kind of like Lost, in which is how they were supposed to stay within the barrier.
Yeah, it was in the show that I watched.
Yeah, I just thought, well, because Lost was, he did direct 2 of the movies of the sequel, so it was an homage to him. Meanwhile, Neil and Wim are exploring the Onyx Cinder, and Wim discovers the captain's quarters, and he sees the skeletons suggesting a deadly duel. Right? Confirming.
He's loving it.
Oh yeah, he's loving it. Yeah,
he doesn't want to go back.
Well, yeah, he's a pirate droid.
Right, and then but Neil's sad because he misses his family. He wants to go home.
Mm-hmm. Well, Fern even says, "I just want to go home as well." Like it's Wim's the only one that's like this is cool.
Yeah, he loves being out on the adventure. They arrive at Port Borgo, a shadow port, which is a haven for illegal activities, which was first introduced in Star Wars Legends in a book called Young Jedi Knights: Shadow Academy by Kevin J. Anderson and Rebecca Moesta, and which was later brought into canon by a reference book, Star Wars Smuggler's Guide, where Maz Kanata had marked it in a reference on a map, but now it's here in Skeleton Crew, so it's pretty cool.
That kind of stuff's so cool.
Yeah, from Legends to canon to now in visual, in live action. Smee warns them not to trust anyone, and they're ferried to the port by a teak species, which is really cool.
With serious mange going on. It is.
Well, yeah, it's pirate teak.
It is a malnourished teak.
Malnourished teak. He's so fun, but he was fast. Did you see him?
Oh my god, it was so cool.
He was cool. From Battle for Endor, another familiar captain.
A sandwich, man.
And you see how happy he got when he got paid? He's like, he wanted to get paid, and he gave
dude.
He's like, whoa!
We don't know where he ran off to. Like he definitely
happy.
ran off to an establishment of some kind.
Yeah. And then as they're there at the port, they're looking around, and then they get separated, and they all start exploring. And KB sees Fuzzball in a cage, right? Another Captain EO appearance. So
that was really cool. I really enjoyed that. I mean, that's
Fern stays in front of that adult establishment, I guess. Oops. I don't know if I would call it that. It could be a strip club.
Like it. It was a strip club.
Strip club.
Okay, strip club.
Let's just say it's a Star Wars strip club. Let's not go too far here.
Okay, Star Wars strip club.
It's like a game place.
But what is funny is that there's the the alien, the woman dancing a little bit on the outside, but she takes very interest in what KB and Fern say before Fern turns around and looks and goes, where'd everybody go? Because we then see her catch up to Fern and KB, and now she's super concerned about getting them off the planet, which is
the port.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. It's like hey, you work in a Star Wars strip club, but yet you see 2 kids and you're like, and now you want to be the good Samaritan kind of thing. So,
I kind of got different vibe. I thought she was going to try to take advantage of them, act like the good person, and then kidnap them, rob them. So I kind of like, I was in danger. I was like, I don't trust this. Something's fishy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I could. Fair point, Jonathan. That very well could be it. But I think the other token is that maybe that's how she ended up there, and now she's like, now I have the ability to do something right. Like, it's the typical Star Wars redemption thing, right? Like, here I am. I didn't want to be here, but now I'm doing these bad things because I can't leave, but I don't want what happened to me happen to them. So
Yeah.
this is my redemption arc, per se. But you could be right, Jonathan. I just felt it was more of that.
I got both. I
Star
got
Wars.
both vibes. I got both vibes. I got the vibe of like first when she saw them, I thought, you know what, human trafficking. She thought, how can I make some money off of this? Because they're
it's
young.
so bad.
I could like
What-
get them in and make some money off them. But then I also thought, wait a minute, as a woman and motherly instincts, she probably felt bad because she asked, "Your children, you
Mhm.
are you children?" So she probably thought, "Oh, it's not safe for children." She did tell them it's not safe for children here.
All right,
100%.
quick poll. If you were the kids, would you have gone with her? We already know Bryce is yes. I'm
Too
a no.
trusting.
You're the deciding vote, Mike. If you were the kids, would you have gone with the lady?
I have to vote.
Yeah, I want to know what you think on that.
Oh, I got at first I thought yes, but then my final instinct was like, because she says you're hurting me. So I thought no. She was holding a little too tight. So I'm like, no. My final vote is no. Get away.
Yeah, I just wanted to see.
That's my final vote. Because at first I thought, you know what, she probably just want to help them. But then she was holding too tight on their arms. So then I thought, oh, human trafficking. That was my final thought, human trafficking.
It was good though. I liked how they made it. It made you think about it.
It was ambiguous. Yes,
Yeah,
it was
very
ambiguous. It was ambiguous.
That's,
And I did like that it was a Thelan woman because she's one of the dancers in Jabba's, entourage. So it was a lot of good connections to a lot of the different shows, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
I like that a lot. And then when she tells him, "Oh, we're from Adad," she goes, "You're gonna have to come up with a better story than that, right?"
Right, because
says
she's the
a
kind of one
word.
that says like it's like that's a fairy tale.
Oh, she says it's the lost planet of eternal treasure. That's
No,
what she
she
calls
Yeah,
it.
calls them
exactly.
like, what are you like, Thelans or something like that?
She's a
Theans?
Thelan. She's a
Or
Thelan.
doesn't she say that to them? Oh, I thought she calls them something. What do you like?
She goes, "Are you children?" She calls them
No,
children.
she calls them like a. I wish we would have got that.
Oh yes, she doesn't. Instead of younglings, she calls them something else.
Yeah, she goes,
What
what
was
do
the
you
word she called them?
blah blah?
I don't
from us?
remember.
Yeah,
It was a special term. I thought it was funny too. Yeah.
yeah, almost like a race or a type of.
No. It was
something.
like a word for children.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
It was a word for children, but it was not younglings. It was something else. It was a word for
Okay.
children. But because she's a Thelan herself. But
It was
yeah.
it was a unique word. Yeah.
hmm
So,
And so then we go to see what the boys do because that was the girls, and we see what the boys are doing. And of course, Wim's, he's thinking with his stomach and he smells the food. It's like, ooh, that smells good. Let's sit down over here. So they sit down for a meal, but then when they order the food, it's like, oh, I'll have what he's having, right? And he cracks
Oh,
up
yeah.
with this like disgusting creature blob. And then when they're eating it, the guy's like, you got to pay for this. It's not charity. And he gives them one of his credits. He's like, where'd you get that?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, that's not going to be enough. And the other guy's like, hey, he's going to try to rip you off. He's like, no, you stay out of this. And because it's actually a lot of money. He's like, where'd you get this mint condition Republic credit?
Right, mid condition.
Mint condition. And then we see the pirates in the bar, including Vane, who's one of the characters from The Mandalorian, is really interested because they want those credits because they're very valuable. Then all of a sudden they're in big trouble, and he tells them do something, and so Wim flips his soup over and it causes a fire, and they're able to escape, but they're gonna get caught. And who comes to save them all? None other than Smee, right? He appears.
Oh, and he just
and that is like such a great
throttles
scene.
them.
He's like, oh, because they threaten his captain, right? Because they end up all together.
Yes.
And
Correct.
because the girls get away from the Thelan and the boys get away from the pirates, and they end up together, and they're about to get captured because she has a gun.
Well,
right?
and Vane just takes that right out.
And Vane just like, yeah, right, 'cause she's just a kid.
Like, it's not happening.
And then Smee shows up. He's like, stay, don't harm my captain. But Vane recognizes him.
Oh, he did? I didn't
Yeah.
catch that.
Yeah, he did. And so then Smee appears to save them from the pirates, but then they're soon overwhelmed by Captain Brutus because Wim took too long to pay the little monkey, he's not a monkey, he's the little
The teak or something else?
teak. Yeah, the little teak. Remember, he was can take him back to the ship.
Yeah.
He took too long to pay him, and so then Brutus shoots the droid Smee, and
Yeah.
Silva's old crew's there, and like take him to the brig. So they take him, and then when they're in the brig, they're like trying to train the and when Smee's on the ground, the little rat comes out of his eye, and
Scurries away.
no, he doesn't scurry away. He captures him as a pet, and then they put him in the brig,
Oh,
and that's when Neil says, "Well, maybe we can train this little rat to
yes.
go
correct.
bring the key over, right?" He's
Such a
like, "Go
kid
over
thing
there."
to say. I'm
He's like, "Go
Mhm.
over there, get the key, and bring it back to us." Little rat goes, and he climbs up. He's like, "Yeah, that's it. Get the key." He's like, "Go to the
Yeah.
left. Go to the left."
And
And
he's
the
like,
rat like
"I'm out."
scurries away. He's like, "Oh no!" It was so funny because for a moment,
So-
you think he's gonna get it.
Remember, so going back actually to the first episode real quick, because I thought this was kind of a cool carryover that, like, the beginning of the first episode and the second episode, there isn't really any time that goes by because the pirates take that on that one ship, but remember that one alien comes out and gets shot in the eye, right? Gets shot in the eye, and then he blasts the captain of the ship, or and you see him on the port getting his eye fixed.
Yeah.
And you see Vane, you see is it Jaleel White, Urkel, his character.
Oh yes,
You
Urkel.
you see Brutus. You see everybody that was on that ship that they made sure that you saw them. You see them there, and then the fact that one alien's getting his thing, you're like, there's no time. Like they did their job. They're now at the port. So I think this, it's not two separate timelines; it's the same timeline, and they merged right there at the end of the second episode. Those timelines have now merged.
Oh, so they just got off that ship that had a one coin, right?
Yeah,
So that has just happened.
that
So
it had
these
to have.
simultaneously
Yeah,
just happened. That's right. That's right.
yeah, because that alien that gets shot in the eye is there on the spaceport getting like a.
I
A
didn't
mod or
catch that.
whatever.
That's right. Good catch. That's right.
And I wanted to go
didn't
back
catch
and
that.
circle because I think that's why we.
That's good.
I think that's why we see Jude Law's character. Was it Jana?
No, I would.
Jodna Wood.
Yeah, Jana Wood. Yes,
His
thank you.
name.
Yeah. He was Captain Silva for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
They threw
Or
him
his
in the
twin
brig.
brother. Or his clone. Was his voice.
It was him. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be just like
It sounded just.
it was him. It was him.
Yeah,
It was
had to
him.
have been.
So then they're in the brig, and then the rat ran away. So like, how are we gonna get out of here? And then all of a sudden, the mysterious Jedi Jod Nana Wood comes out, and he's
I
like,
love calling him a Jedi.
"I can get you out." Well, he's a Jedi because that's what Wynn calls him. He's like, "You're a Jedi," and he does use the Force. He reaches over, and the key comes to him, and he pulls back the cloak. He's got Jedi music.
I don't know if I would label that as Jedi music.
It sounded like Jedi music. He has
a
his
Star
own
Wars
theme.
theme.
He has a
it
Jedi
sounded-
themed Star Wars music.
But I think that's to throw people off. But
Wow.
notice like how he doesn't necessarily reach out with the Force as much. Like his hands close and he's doing this. And the key comes off. I'm not saying he didn't use the Force, but I'm saying like it's how he's using it makes a difference, right? Like
Well, the key came to him.
The key's not just floating across; it's shaking while it's going through the
Came
air.
to him.
I'm not denying that. What I'm saying is, I don't know if I would call him a Jedi. Is all I'm saying.
Well, Neil called him, not Neil. Wim
Wim.
called him a Jedi. He said, "You're
But
a
he
Jedi."
didn't say anything. And even in the preview, one of the previews, "Oh, you're a Jedi," and he goes, "Of course."
Mm-hmm.
And it's how he said it that leads me to believe that he is a Force user, but he's not a Jedi.
Well, I think he's gonna have very selfish. I mean, we see this in a lot of movies.
100%.
Yeah, he's gonna be very selfish, and the kids are gonna tug his heartstrings, and he's gonna have the Han Solo. He's gonna have the treasure, and be like, God damn it, I'm gonna go save these kids. Yeah, it's exactly what's gonna happen.
I don't know. I think because the thing is, he's too old to be. He had to have been trained when he was younger, and when he was younger, there was Jedi training. And because look at his age. So when he was young, it was during the time when he would have been a youngling at the Jedi Temple. So he survived Order. He reminds me kind of like Kanan.
Yeah.
He would have been, and like Kanan went into hiding too. And remember, Kanan kind of went, kind of like a little pirate. You know, he was doing all this stuff. He was kind of like a rascal.
Yeah, he could
Well,
be
but
saved, so.
but they were fighting against the Empire. He's not.
No, but before Kanan became a rebel, before he met Hera, remember Kanan? He was in the books and before he met Hera, he was stealing things.
Really? Never
Yes.
those books. That's cool.
So he was not. It's so he reminded me a little bit of Kanan in that sense. So I'm thinking when he was young, he was trained, but he survived Order 66, but went into hiding because the ones that survived had to go into hiding and not let anyone find out that they were Jedi. So they had to pretend like they were something else, evil or bounty hunters or something bad, so that they couldn't find them. They couldn't do good things because if they did good things, they were like, "Oh, you're a Jedi, dead."
Right.
So that's what I think.
Fair point.
So we'll see, but it's over anyway. It's exciting. I thought it was really good.
So that also kind of helps Bryce's theory, though, on people are saying, well, if he could have done that, why couldn't he always have done that? Maybe they just got back. So maybe they were just on their failed mission. They got back, they threw him in the brig, and hours later he goes, here's my chance to get out.
Mhm.
Because honestly, it's kind of like if he's been in there a while, why didn't he do the force to get the keys out earlier? But
That's what I thought too. That's what I thought
he
too. But
just
you're
got
right.
thrown in. Yeah.
Well, so I'm going to make the correlation here, but it is the whole jail scene thing is the exact same as it was in The Last Jedi, right? DJ's in there, and at any time he could have got out,
Mm-hmm.
but he didn't get out until Finn and Rose showed up, because then he also had a means to like get off the planet as well, right?
Yeah.
So like
Right.
I could get out, but I need a
Where am I gonna go?
purpose. Right. Where am
Right.
I going to go? What's my purpose? And so the kids provided Ja that purpose, just like Rose and Finn provided DJ with that purpose on Kanto.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true. Very good. Well, ticker tape time, John.
What are your guys' final thoughts on the first two episodes?
I really liked them. I'm looking forward to the next
yeah.
episode. Sergio loved it. We went to the premiere here at the theater.
Ticker tape.
And thanks, Bryce.
What's the ticker tape? What ticker tape was used?
Hyperspace.
We have like 75.
I got it.
It takes forever to find it. Good Lord. You scroll and scroll. Good Lord. Final thoughts, Mike.
Yeah. Well, I loved it. And then I always take Sergio went with me, and he's my litmus test, and he loved it. He didn't want to go. But he ended up going, and he actually did love it. And he says, you know what? I want to keep watching this series. So if he wants to keep watching it and he's not really a fan, then this is going to be good. And did you guys notice this got higher ratings than The Mandalorian?
As the ratings are, and I'll be honest with you, because
more
obviously
viewership.
for what I what I do for the page with, being on probably the most toxic of all social platforms on X, and going on there, no negativity. I gotta tell you, like when you see Star Wars and then you go to that platform and you see all the naysayers, like, I won't mention names, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They're not there.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I was
everything is
expecting
positive.
that. I was expecting that because we've got a white male lead. So, no, thanks, Jude Law.
I don't know. I wouldn't call him the lead, though. I think the kids are the lead here.
He's the
I
lead.
think that's.
Bryce. Hold on.
I mean, he's an A-lister. I get it, but I don't. I kind of think the kids are the lead here.
Were there any things, Bryce?
Who's got
that-
the biggest face on this poster?
He's got the biggest face because he's
Oh,
the one.
stop that! Because I could show you a Star Wars poster with freaking Palpatine on it that stands out more than everybody else. And Palpatine
No,
wasn't a lead.
His face is on there because he's the only known actor. People are calling this the Jude Law show. I'm like, oh, the Jude Law.
It's
show?
not.
I know, but that helps it a
It's
lot.
not. It's
But
the
Jude Law
kids.
is a big draw. Having
I
I agree. I think he's gonna.
Jude
I
Law's
think
a
he's
big
gonna crush the
plus.
role. But
Wim is going to be our protagonist A.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Fern is a protagonist B. And the other kids are going to be like support, but it's going to be those two A and B. Like Finn and 11. It's going to be those are the two main ones. So it's
for
it's
sure.
going to be great. Bryce,
remember, Neil Nation.
Was
Neil
there
Nation.
anything
Neil
that
Nation,
might
yes.
miss that you really wanted to talk about, Bryce, or is that pretty much?
I will say this because, I love the Acolyte. Still wish they were doing season 2. I said it. Sophia really didn't get into that show because it was kind of dark, and so she kind of like, I don't really want to watch it. And so like when she like Skeleton Crew, and she was hesitant to watch it, but then once she got into it, like at one point, because we're sitting up here, we put a couch up here finally, so all of us can sit together and watch shows.
Nice.
She's sitting there, just tunnel vision. I'm like, yes, like that to me means every week we are watching this when it comes out, and so she got super excited. She really loved it. Sarah really loved it, and I was like, okay, like the Star Wars family is back, and so it made me really happy.
On that note, I loved it as well. The thing it has going for it that is amazing. It's not tied to anything. It's free. The only things that are Star Wars are the species, the words hyperspace, Republic credits, the word Jedi. That's really common knowledge in the world. I mean, you hear Republic credits, they're talking about currency. You hear Jedi, everyone knows. You don't have to know anything about Star Wars. You know what a Jedi is. So it's really free, and the total opposite of Acolyte. Acolyte had stuff before it and stuff after it, and you had to fit really tough puzzle piece, so much lore. And this is free. There's nothing, which I think is great and really smart. Obviously, they're really, really leaning on pirate stuff. I mean,
the inside of the ship. Did we not see all like the pirate netting and everything like that?
hat.
The pirate hats.
Yeah.
Even the dagger that they pulled out of that skeleton's chest was like, man, that was like
But you know what?
old school.
Even the pirate in the beginning, when they went across like pirates on old pirate ships to destroy the turrets, I'm like, wait a minute, that's like on original real pirate ships how they would go.
But the funny thing is like, if we're thinking pirate ships, right? So it doesn't matter like what Jonathan says if it's floating in the air or if it's floating on the water. But notice how, if you were to board a ship, right? What are you doing? You're swinging from ropes and you're throwing boards from your ship over. But in space, you have airlocks that come in, right? Like it's the same concept, though. Exactly the same concept. I'm boarding your ship and I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
So to me, that was exactly like we are getting a pirate Star Wars show, and Skeleton Crew is very fitting for the title of this. It's awesome.
Right, it is.
It's super smart marketing and designing of it for your audiences, because now they get to pick two audiences. They get to go the nostalgic audiences, us, the older guys. Sorry, we are older guys. Mike doesn't want to admit it, but we're the older guys. Reminding us of Goonies. I mean, all pirates, like just hitting us with the older. But then they're also hitting kids with the
Yes.
kids and pirates. Kids love pirate stuff. And
Oh
stuff.
yeah, I mean it's just got Goonies vibes all about it.
I'm
Yeah.
sure the audience scores are testing really high with older adults and really great with maybe the teenagers don't care so much, but the teenagers, they don't care about nothing. The kids
They
are
don't.
probably loving this. So
And the
act
kids are
like
very
no
likable.
kids
Those kids are
watch.
very likable.
Oh,
Those kids
yeah.
are very likable.
Absolutely.
Huge audience, really smart, and
Mhm.
they got a big actor in it with Jude Law, so that even gets the people who don't watch Star Wars.
Mhm.
I want to watch
Sure.
Jude Law.
Yeah.
So I think they did an
Yep.
amazing
There's
job.
definitely people that if Jude Law's in something, I'm gonna watch it
Yeah, so I think they're doing
So.
a great job.
for sure.
Yes.
So I really enjoyed it. I have high hopes. But my biggest note, I'm end on this. This has been done before. I don't know if you guys ever watched this, but Star Trek Prodigy. This is almost a ripoff.
I like Star Trek Prodigy though. It's really good.
Even the main kid is this kid that just wants to get away and does stupid things, hijacks ship. They have no idea what it says. Takes this party of kids, and he just wants to be the captain, wants to be the lead and everything. I'm like, this is the same kid, and even has kind of the 1B female character who's really smarter than him. And then they have a robot type hologram that really can control all the
But
shit. This is Star
Jonathan,
Trek,
but Prodigy's really good.
and they're lost in space.
But Prodigy's really good. It's okay.
I love Prodigy. I
do
loved it.
too.
I'm like, this is Prodigy. I was like,
It
I thought it
is,
was great.
but live
I love-
action.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys have that one because I've never watched it. Probably
If
never.
you watch
really
it,
good.
it's the
animation
same
is
kid's
really
kind
good.
of a little annoying. But
Yeah.
wants to get off the planet. They find this hidden ship that everyone wants, and a bunch of random other kids get on it and they take off, and they're lost in space.
Mhm. So Hyperspace Props are the official sponsors of the Not So Virtual Cantina Special Edition in Japan. Pre-order your credits and cosplay props at www.hyperspaceprops.com. Use the code NSVCSE for 10% off all your Hyperspace Props items. Shout out to our associates, Star Wars Book Nerds, and Star Wars Comic Book Club.
We didn't get those bigger. This one's a little small for my.
I know, my eyes are like, I was struggling there.
David,
Please follow us on
if you
all our
watch this, David, make
socials.
this a little bigger. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. I can't wait to do this every week with you guys. We're going to do this every Friday, so please tune in, like, comment. Please comment. That's a big one.
Subscribe.
Yes.
Be sure you're following us on the YouTubes at Virtual
YouTubes.
Cantina Network, on Instagram at virtual.cantina network, on X, formerly Twitter, at Cantina Virtual, on Threads at virtual.cantina network, on Hive at Virtual Cantina, and on TikTok at Virtual Cantina. And like the VCN Star Wars Celebration Japan 2025 Facebook page. And we're all going to be there. Right, John?
Yes,
Right, Blake?
absolutely.
That's going to be fun.
That's the plan.
And keep following us every week and watch all our shows. We have programming.
Thank you for
every
watching. Thank you for watching.
night all.
May the force be with you.
Live long and prosper.